here because we're going to cover some really good stuff while you're getting your stamps. 2 Ellish Parkway is, for those of you that don't know, is where Reggie Gold had a practice for years. It's where Ernie Landy took over his practice, and it's where I received my first chiropractic adjustment almost 35 years ago. I will never forget that day because it changed my life forever. I was 15 years old at the time. I had a lot of hair on my head, a big red afro, and I had hurt myself playing football and went to the greatest medical doctors in Spring Valley, New York, and they told me, and they told my mother, they said, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Plasker, and I'm sorry, you afro-headed dude, I don't remember what your name is." Yes, I did have an afro, I did. And they said, "I'm sorry, but you just can't play for a month. You can't play football anymore, you just can't play." And you know, at the time, 35 years ago, I was willing to do anything. I would have done anything to get back on the field. Even if it meant going to a chiropractor, I would have done anything to play. So I did, and I went to 2 Ellish Parkway, along with 2,000 a week of my closest friends who I had never met before until I got there. Got an adjustment by Ernie Landy, who changed my life forever, and set me on a course for my life, which at 49 years old, about to turn 50, 30 years in chiropractic, 25 years, 26 years, or 27 years, whatever the number is, it's a crazy number. 27 years after graduation, loving chiropractic more than ever, feeling more purposeful than ever, feeling more alive than ever, feeling more willing and purposeful, and I got to tell you, feeling wiser than ever. Wisdom is good. Everybody say wisdom is good. Wisdom is good. Wisdom is great. Say wisdom is great. Yes, it is. And I remember 2 Ellish Parkway. I'll never forget 2 Ellish Parkway. I was talking to Irene just a little while ago, and I said to her, and I looked her in the eye, and I really mean this, because you think about it, and Ernie, I don't know if you've ever counted the number of how many adjustments that took place at 2 Ellish Parkway. Do you have any idea? Millions of adjustments at this address, 2 Ellish Parkway. Next to Brady Street, it's right up there, in my opinion, as one of the most historic addresses in the history of our great profession, and doesn't get enough credit. And Ernie called me just recently when he was driving by it. He called me on my cell, and he said, "Eric, you're not going to believe it. I just drove by 2 Ellish Parkway, and they just sent a wrecking ball into the building and knocked down the building that was there at 2 Ellish Parkway, where millions of adjustments took place." And, you know, I was thinking about it, and, you know, 2 Ellish Parkway at this point in history, 2 Ellish Parkway is not a physical address. It's not a physical place. It's a spiritual place. It's a presence. It's a place that has meaning. It's an address that has meaning. It's historic in so many ways chiropractically. I think about if Reggie didn't start telling the chiropractic story there. And I got to tell you, Reggie was so ahead of his time in so many ways. I have so many great Reggie stories. I'm only going to tell you a couple today. I remember one time, you want to hear a funny Reggie story? Here's a funny, Irene, don't get mad at me. This is a funny Reggie story. I had just been at a seminar with Reggie. I was a student. And I sat there all day, and he spent 8 hours talking about how important it was to do talks and to do lay lectures and to speak to the public. And it was an 8-hour program that, man, I was a student. I was like writing and writing and writing and listening and writing and writing and writing. I was always impeccable at taking notes. Always in chiropractic college, I wanted to be impeccable at every single thing that we did. Fortunately, because I got that adjustment from Ernie and he told me the story, and maybe because I received that adjustment in that historic place that turned maybe between not just me and the 147 that Ernie sent to chiropractic college, but the other hundreds and hundreds that we don't even know about that are probably chiropractors today just because of that address. And I was thinking about, and so I got adjusted at that place. I'm sitting in this seminar with this built it, and I'm a student. I'm like worshiping, hanging on every word. Finally, after like not taking a break, and I'm standing there like this, and I really got to go to the bathroom really bad. And I was like, okay, break time, boom. So we all go to the bathroom, and I go, and ladies, I don't know if you know it, but we pee standing up. Did you know that? I don't know if you know that or not. So I walk in the bathroom, and I stand in the stall, and I'm standing there, and this icon of a man, Reggie, walks up to me next to me, and he looks over at me, and he passed gas like I had not heard in a long time. It was like, and he looked at me and smiled and said, it wasn't meant to stay inside, and he zipped up, and he kept on going. And it was great because, and I can't believe I'm telling that story to you today. But what I loved about Reggie in the time that I got to know him is that he was real and he was authentic. And whether you liked him or not, or liked what he stood for or not, you knew where he stood. And I love that about him. And, you know, I learned a lot today, Irene, in our little conversation, and I appreciate that very much. The other thing that I heard Reggie say that was really had a lot of meaning for me. I think what Reggie understood is, Reggie understood that volume matters. Everybody say volume matters.
Volume matters.
Yeah, say it again like you mean it. Volume matters. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of you. How many of you came here to New Beginnings because you wanted to, on some level, connect with your innate, and you wanted to also maybe find yourself a little more? Raise your hand if you wanted to find yourself a little